expert, Dr. James Taylor, will be here. Professor Taylor will preview next month's Georgia senatorial race and also the impact of the black vote. Dr. Taylor will also talk about the fight between the progressive and the moderate wing of the Democratic Party. Also, he's going to give us 5 things that we need to worry about for the next election. Before we get to Dr. Taylor, though, financial advisor J.B. Bryan is here to look at the final unemployment rate for the year, provide us with some tax tips, and also some spending options as we close out 2020. J.B., welcome back to WOL Radio.
It's so good to be here. Thank you so much for this opportunity to kind of encourage us to stay encouraged. I think that this is the most important time probably in history for the Black community to make a commitment to financial independence. If we ever thought that we need to be in control of our own financial life, we have to realize that that is now. Now, think about this, Carl. This pandemic will and is impacting our community financially and physically, and spiritually in probably a larger way than anything that we've seen since slavery. Like, this is this is a very bad situation for a lot of Black families, a lot of families, but especially for our family, because we're much more likely to be in a situation where you're working for a job that doesn't have benefits, doesn't have paid time off, doesn't have family leave, doesn't have the benefits that are really needed for this this pandemic. So we have to really look within ourselves and look around in our family. We talk a lot about generational wealth, but we have to see this as a generational challenge that we have to help each other through it. I have a lot of clients, members of AfroEconomics, who are retired, but they're staying at home and taking care of their grandkids while the grandkids are logging in, going on to school, so that the parents can continue to make money, especially when we have such a large number of single parent households.
Right. And well, I'm glad to hear that, because all we hear usually is the negative stuff. So I'm glad to hear some positive stuff. But let's start off first. Let's close out the year with the final unemployment rate. Shows a lot of people still looking for jobs. The economy is not what it is. People on Wall Street making money, but on Main Street, not so much. What's going on here? Where's the disconnect?
Well, I always say that just because you lose your job doesn't mean that you need to be out of work. This is the time for us to really think about what type of work you want to do and what opportunity you can create for yourself and your family. It's time to start your own business. It's time to generate your own income from the skills, the talents, from the job that you lost. If you were, just say that they're saying a whole bunch of people that work at hotels lost jobs. So if you were cleaning rooms at hotels, now is the time for you to learn how to clean rooms on your own, clean homes on your own, transfer whatever the skill is, whatever the talent is, transfer it into income, because these unemployment numbers may never go, it may never get better. A lot of jobs, millions of jobs that were lost will not go, they will not be filled again. So there's going to be a shift. There'll be new jobs that are created, but it may be that we have to make sure that we just remove ourselves from that job market and start looking at ourselves as entrepreneurs. This could be a great opportunity for us to realize more than ever the importance of taking our talents and creating income from it. And it's a totally different mindset, Paul, than most of us have ever been encouraged to have. We've been go to school for all these years, then go to college all those years, and then maybe go to college even more all those years, and then, get a job. Well, you have people doing all of that and still not having a job. So we have to start thinking that I have to create my own work.
Let me jump in and say that then. So how much stock should we put in this stimulus check? They've been teasing us about getting a stimulus check. I know some people are waiting, and some people are at their last couple of dollars waiting on this check. Should we forego thinking about this check, or should we do something else?
That's horrific. It's horrific to sit there and have to wait for somebody to send you a check. I mean, it's, that would be nice, but now they're saying not by the end of the year, maybe next year. I mean, how heartbreaking is that? We cannot allow ourselves to depend on the government to help us through this issue anymore. We just can't. So it's most likely it's not going to happen. Now, what we need to be thinking about is how am I going to make sure that I can afford to take care of my family, live where I'm living? Because Carl, the eviction moratoriums are about to end. So I don't know, they're going to have to include something in the package. I've been reading it saying the CDC needs to do an extension because these, people are going to have to live somewhere. So the CDC has to make adjustments on that. But again, we're talking about, our black community and people of color and, and so many people that aren't in a position to have any extra money to get through this. And $1,200 probably is not going to make a huge difference for someone with 3 or 4 kids, and you're about to get evicted because you're 4 months behind or 5 months behind.
Yeah. Well, let me just say this. For the people in D.C., for those who receive the pandemic unemployment assistance, Mayor Bowers is re-upping those $1,200 checks for those the stimulus payments, as they call them, for those folks in the district. So that's a good sign that somebody's thinking ahead there. But we're coming up to the holidays, JB, and people want little money they have. I know they're under pressure to feel like they have to go all out because that's what they did since they were children. It's what their parents did to them. It's what they've done to their children.
That's right.
This year's kind of different. What would you advise?
I had a call from a reporter from an ABC news station, and he was saying, I need to find someone to speak on these great offers that are coming through during this pandemic time. And, I replied to him, you might not want to talk to me about that because I'm suggesting that everyone avoid these great interest rate offers during this pandemic and avoid going into any additional consumer debts during this time. I don't care how good the offer looks. You do not need to have another unnecessary bill. I mean, even if it was down to, if you have to choose between housing and car, you have to choose your housing. You can get to where you're going another way. We've got Uber, we've got all of these other forms. You've got your cousin, you have friends, you can get transported, but you can, housing you and your family has to become first priority. And before the pandemic, you could look at credit reports and see that people would actually get evicted and still make sure that they pay their car payment. We can't do that this time.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah,
that's really sad.
Yes, we can't do that this time. We have to focus on housing and protecting your family from this pandemic.
All right, let me jump in here for a second, JB, because you know what it is. They see the little children, and I was online watching some black kids sitting on Santa's lap. I was like, wow.
What? Seriously?
Taken back by it. But, but I'm just wondering, what do you say to folks? Because they feel they have to do this because that's their children. And I know they love their children, so they want to get out there and get them these expensive toys that they'll play with for a couple of days, and then they chuck them. Because we know that's what it is. It's all for one day. So it's a big show for one day.
Yes.
What can you tell them, though? What's the alternative?
That's not that's not the purpose of Christmas. We're supposed to be, it's a religious holiday. So all of this Santa and the Christmas tree and those gifts that you're getting for the kids, all of that is commercialism, materialism, everything that's pulling you away from setting up the correct priorities for you and your family. And I know how hard it is because I was a single parent my daughter's entire life. So I know how I know how hard it is to feel like I should be able to do this. I should be able to do this. But at the same time, we have priorities. There's been times, where I wanted to keep my business going. I've got to make sure that you pay for payroll. You have to make sure that you take care of household and business responsibilities. Like, we have to accept the hard part and teach your children to accept the hard part. That, look, y'all, we're in a pandemic. and we have to stay safe, and we have to stay together. And right now, I can't work because this, and this. Or I'm building this business because this, and this. And I tell my daughter that all the time, and we don't communicate that. The sacrifice that it takes in order to create generational wealth. So what happens is we have a next generation that doesn't have the strength that you have because you haven't taught them how you have to sacrifice, how you have to have discipline, how you have to have delayed gratification, and keep your eye on the game. Like the point of it, I was talking to a lady the other day, and she was Jewish, and she was saying that they put up a Christmas tree. And I said, well, why do you put up a Christmas tree? And she said, what's the Christmas tree got to do with Christmas? And I said, I know that's right. You know what I'm saying? But it was somebody from another religion telling me about my own religion. And she was true. And she's right.
We're going up on a break real soon, but I want you to answer this question when we get back, though, because what age do you have that conversation with children? You know, because they see all their friends are going to get Christmas presents, and you're telling them that we can't because there's some sort of pandemic, so they know nothing about. So, what age and what kind of conversations do you have with children about finances when it comes to this time of the year? Folks, you got a question about finances? I guess it's JB Bryan. Reach out to us, 800-450-7876 gets you in. We'll take your calls next on FM 95.9 and AM 1450 WOL, where information is power.
What age? Hey, everybody.
This report is sponsored by DC Lottery. 395 southbound in terrible shape over in Arlington due to a disabled vehicle blocking your left lane as you're trying to get by Glebe Road at exit 7. Only for you.
At what age do you tell
like from Washington Boulevard
you're cheering? No.
It's all possible. Also, we're in very bad shape on 270 northbound in the Rockville area due to a collision.
Hey, Carl.
Yo.
Question. When should you, or if you should, at any point, talk to your child?
About what?
Anything. About anything.
I know that's right.
I think we should talk to our children as much as we can these days.
You get to the point you don't like them.
Well, you shouldn't get to that point. At some point, you got to be your best friend.
No, never. If I want a friend, I get somebody my age, a little older, or 10 younger.
That's
I don't want no kid as my friend. No.
Somebody that you can trust, because when you leave here, you got to leave it with somebody.
That's
right. Leave it for Uncle Sam.
No, that's right.
Fine, but we too soft as adults about teaching our child. We wait till they get of age and all that.
No, that's right. That's why I'm asking. At what age can they comprehend about money? If you tell them, hey, things are tight, or daddy only makes $10, and he'll go around the street. My daddy makes $10.
They don't.
You go to the classroom, tell the teacher, my daddy makes $10.
They don't
so I can't afford new shoes.
They don't care about that. They want a toy to fit in with everybody
I know they want the latest. What is it? The PlayStation 5? It is. Is the toy of the every year is a special toy.
Okay, go ahead.
If they want.
See, but it's too much pressure on parents, especially parents that's in challenged communities about buying a toy or something that the kids don't use on a lie to make the rich man rich. And they still talking about I need a job, but you're still save your money to give it back to a person who's taking your money. I got a problem with that. Ain't no such thing as no Christmas. Thanksgiving is thankful for who? You got some people to wait for Thanksgiving because they're gonna eat. They have it up until Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving comes out once a year. From
right, but
Thanksgiving to
does the child understand all of that, though?
From Thanksgiving to Thanksgiving, if you don't teach them, it is what
all they understand that their buddies have got a new toy, and they wonder what happened to you.
If you don't raise your child, that's your business. You wait until college till they go off to school and college, so they have to learn on their own. But your child,
you got to grab them before college.
No, I ain't got to show them nothing.
In case you check out, I'm looking. I just saw a baseball player just died, Dick Allen. I mean, people are dropping out left and right, man.
Listen, my job is to have them. It's the teacher's job to teach them. That's it.
No, it's not. It's your job. You can't rely on the teacher to teach your children.
My job to have them. We're going to have 10, but it's your job to teach them. We got
hell no. And the teachers, especially these teachers, they teach you how to hate their parents.
On the web and social media at WOLDC News. And now back to the Carl Nelson Show on Washington, D.C.'s 1450 WOL Radio.
I'm anxious to stay with us, folks. I guess his financial advisor, J.B. Bryan, will look at some of our spending options as we close out 2020. Also give us some tax tips as we look ahead to 2021. Before we left, though, we're discussing what do we say to our children? Because the holidays are coming up, and everybody's buying gifts. They see it on TV. There's a lot of peer pressure. All their friends are getting gifts. So, so JB, at what point do you say, well, maybe I can't get that because you'll have to wait because the daddy's lost his job or daddy only makes $10? How do you understand? Do they understand if you tell them that daddy makes $10, will he go out whenever school is or when his friends? My daddy only makes $10. That's why I don't have this new toy.
That's
right. How do you figure that out? When to have that conversation?
That's if you do not teach your child no, you're going to have a child with a disadvantage because if you want to build a powerful child, the earlier you teach them the word no and what they need to do in order to earn a yes, or why I said no and why no means no, that's part of the whole discipline. So when you're building wealth, and we're going to just continue to see that hard times are part of wealth development. People that don't go through hard times very rarely have real, true, sustainable wealth, because everybody that's wealthy can tell you about times where they weren't so wealthy. So when you're teaching them the delayed gratification, the advantages of having compounding returns over time, how you have to save so that we'll have something later, how we're in what is considered a national crisis, and this is how we keep the family together through it. That's the only way, is to communicate to them, if you can't afford it, we can't afford it. We can't do this because we're going to eat, because and I can either spend this on that, or I can spend this on these things. And that's why a lot of people will buy an $800, I don't know how much it costs for that new PlayStation 5. And I've been seeing on the news, people have been robbing each other and things, meeting up and then robbing people and stealing the PlayStation over a toy. Now, I could even try to understand that if people were stealing food, but stealing toys, that, is really sad. So what we want to do is teach the children early that no is just part of life. No is not a permanent word. No, we can't get that right now, but when things get better, we might have Christmas in July. We may have, if that's your family value system, if you think it's that important. But I have always said to my daughter, you earn everything. And every action gets a reaction. So we went through a period where I wasn't happy with her grades that year. So I said, well, this Christmas, you're not getting any toys. And we're going to go and volunteer all Christmas Day and feed the homeless. So we went and and she was very tight about it. And it wasn't, see, if you teach them no when you do have the money, because I had the money, it was not appropriate for that year. It's about doing what is required.
I think today's her birthday, so happy birthday to her, by the way.
Exactly. Thank you.
Was she angry with you, the fact that she knows you've got the money and
Oh, she was disappointed all that morning. Like she wouldn't talk to me because she didn't think it was really going to happen. So she came down, and she wasn't in high school. This was like middle school. So she came downstairs and she looked and she said she really didn't do it. And I really didn't do it. And I knew it was going to test my strength also. Because you're talking about, I'm alone. I'm a single parent. So it's just me. It was just her. Me and her. And I have to sit here.
All right, tell the truth now. Did that hurt to do that?
Yes. I mean, it really hurt me bad. I mean, it hurt me more than her. I mean, it really hurts. And then we got dressed. I made her breakfast, and we went to feed the homeless. We took all these clothes. I said, you give me all the clothes that have tags in your closet. She had a whole bunch of clothes she had never even worn. And give me other stuff, and give me stuff that you like. Don't you give me stuff you don't like. We took some really nice clothes down there for them. We took food, a full turkey meal, all this stuff. And we took it to where I went to high school, So it was about 30 minutes away down, no, it was about an hour. And the whole time she was sad, but when we got there, and she realized the joy that the people were looking at her like, this has tax on it. This is new, and how happy they were. There was no more discussion about it. Because there was nothing that she needed. We're only talking about wants for most of the kids, of the people who are listening to your show. Your listeners are the top 1% of wealth in our community. So when we talk about people out of work, there's a low percentage of the people listening that are even out of work. What we're talking about is how blessed we generally are. And when we choose to be bankrupt and broke, it's because of overspending, because of over opportunity. And when a man posted yesterday on Facebook, he said, I would rather own a little bit of something than to have a job that allows me to borrow a lot. And that's what's happening. We're taking jobs and they're allowing us to just get all these loans and we're feeling successful. And at the end of it, there's nothing that is yours. When you leave, you have to get up. You don't even own the chair. Like that. That was so powerful to hear a 60-something-year-old Black man admit that. He said, I've given this place my whole career, my whole life. And I've always had to do what somebody else told me to do. Nothing of this is mine. And he was like, he's a teacher on a collegiate level. That was so real to me. And then somebody said, but man, trying to start your own business could mean that you end up broke. And you don't have no money, and you the so-and-so, and this and this and that. And he didn't respond. He didn't click. He didn't say anything to it. But I was like, that. I wanted to say, and I said, leave it alone. Keep moving. But the truth of that is that does happen. But when that happens, it's because the entrepreneur tries to do everything that the worker does. See, the entrepreneur has to have a different mindset. So if you want to teach your child to be financially independent, you got to teach them no. You got to teach them that things won't always go their way. You have to teach them discipline, and you have to teach them self-control. Because if you don't teach them, the world will teach them that things don't always go their way.
Let me ask you this question then, JB. Why so many of our people are consumers and not producers?
Because it's so easy. It's so easy. It's so easy. I was in a discussion last week with a bank president, and I said, why is it about getting us to do mortgages when we need your bank to give us business loans? You want to provide opportunities that compound for generations? Give us loans that help us generate businesses so that our college graduates have somewhere to go to work, or our college graduates can have a business plan, go to your bank, get a loan, and start a business. And then he was speechless. Like that, no, let's go back to the mortgages. But the business is the answer, or one of the answers, a major answer to the wealth gap. We have to start offering opportunities to generations.
Systematic racism, is it because it's the system is set up that way that it's much difficult for our folks to get startup money to start a business?
Well, see, when you borrow stuff, that's a yes. When you have to start your own business and go out there and ask customers every day for business, you hear no, and then a maybe. No. It takes a whole, but that's what we go through as business owners. But when you work somewhere and you have a little W-2 and you go somewhere to get a little mortgage or a car loan, they say yes, and you feel empowered, but you're not. You're their slave now. You're working for them. And that's what so we just have become weakened by the system that has been created. And it benefits with the entire American economy benefits by us having a weak mindset about consumerism. And we readjust and start saying, you lender, you give us business loans appropriately. And we start telling politicians, when is the last time the SBA actually helped a Black business get built? And when is the SBA going to step up and help us build businesses so that we can't, small business, they know over 40% of the U.S. economy is built from small businesses. Businesses are vital to the U.S., but we have put ourselves into the job market, after all these degrees that our community has, and we've put ourselves into the job market because we don't want to hear no. I have to have 99 no's to get to a maybe, but that's what it takes. That's what it takes to have something to give to the next generation. If not, they're going to be out there with the resume.
This, though, JB, is this a good time to start a business? We're talking about the pandemic. We're talking about people who are not working. People don't have money to spend. Is this a good time to even, because you mentioned don't go into debt, but is this a good time to start a business?
I started my business without any debt. Nobody gave me any loans for my registered investment advisory firm. Here it is, this black girl talking about doing something that black people don't do. And in 1995, even white men don't do. When I talk to my white friends,
hold that thought right there, because when you started, it wasn't a pandemic. It wasn't a whole bunch of folks who don't have jobs or the prospect of having jobs.
It was bad though.
Maybe kicked out of their homes after the holiday. So I want you to give me a full answer on that when we take after the short break. 800-450-7876. You got a question about finances? This is a lady you need to speak with. Her name is J.B. Bryan from AfroEconomics. Reach out to us at 800-450-7876. We'll take your calls after this quick break right here on FM 95.9 and AM 1450 WOL, where information is power.
If you're a Democrat, Republican, or Independent, Black News Talk is hotter than ever. The Power Block, where you're keeping up with the Joneses, hosted by Mike Jones, Carlene Eliza, and Unc Cornell Jones, delivers listeners with point of views and discussions about racism, Black family, politics, and other hot topics amongst our Black community. Listen each and every Saturday right here from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. To join the discussion, don't miss the Power Block, where you're keeping up with the Joneses with Mike Jones, Carlene Eliza, and Unc Cornell Jones each Saturday. Also, for shows and sponsorship and or business marketing services, call the Foster Jones Group at 202-600-7793 or at www.thefosterjonesgroup.com. Don't miss the most talked about show on Saturday morning for more than 10 years, The Power Book, where you're keeping up with the Joneses right here on the WOL Radio Network.
DC, we are one. Still striving, still standing. The DC Lottery stands with you as we celebrate Radio 1 for 40 years of informing, inspiring, and entertaining the community. We honor this rich legacy with a commemorative 40th anniversary scratcher. Remember, when you play, we all win, as proceeds from DC Lottery games support essential city services. Over $100,000 in cash prizes still remaining, including one $40,000 top prize.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Follow us on Instagram at WOL DC News.
And now back to the Carl Nelson Show on Washington, D.C.'s 1450 WOL Radio.
I'd like to stand this, folks. I guess it's J.B. Bryan. J.B. runs a company called AfroEconomics. He's a financial advisor. You got questions about money, especially as we're closing out this year and looking forward to next year, 2021. I want to know a lot of folks hope that 2021 is a lot better than 20. This is a lady you need to talk to. You got a question? Again, 800-450-7876. So, J.B., I'm going to let you respond to that question I posed right before the break.
Well, you basically were saying to me that easy for you to say, JB, because we weren't in a pandemic in 1995 when you started your firm, correct? Now, but the pandemic offers an even better opportunity to a creative person, because anyone who was working and wants to start a business and their job, they were laid off because of the pandemic. This is the opportunity for you to shift into a different career, a different business and still get the unemployment because you're not generating any income. So who starts a business and is getting, unemployment? Like everybody that was doing good work and the job was lost, they're getting the unemployment. Now, this new package says they're going to continue the unemployment. So you're getting the unemployment, your business isn't generating any income. I didn't have that privilege. I had to make money coming out the gate because there wasn't any other source of income. But you don't have to do that because you already have this other income coming in from the job that you lost. So you're building your business during the transition. If you're kidding yourself if you're on unemployment and you're just sitting there waiting for something to change. You have got to make sure that you are studying new skills, looking at this massive, look at this massive opportunities that you have on the internet. None of this existed for me. In 1995, I was still on dial-up. You got, you know what I mean? I'm doing stock trades with something moving in slow motion. So, you all have so many opportunities to create new ideas. They have all these new things. They have coaches, people, even if somebody went to prison, they can start a business on prison recovery because there's so many people being sent home from prison. You could be doing transition coaching. You can probably get a grant to do something like that. And then you're turning your 10, 20 years in prison into an advantage. So that's something you have experience in that I don't have experience in. So I could definitely not speak on transitioning from prison. So we need to start seeing that whatever it is that you do, whatever is your situation, our creativity has to get back in us. And we are the most creative people on the planet. We are, and it has been sucked out of us because of buying into the ease of doing everything. And it has weakened us. And every day I have to psych myself up and say, I'm going to go in it. I'm going to get after this. It's going to happen. I didn't get any PPP loans and things like that because to me, it weakens you. I'd rather go through the pain of making sure that I make it work. It makes you more creative. But that's a fire and that's a fight that we have to get back. And my fight is nowhere near like Harriet Tubman. My life is easy, but we have to, relative to that. But it is hard relative to the way too many people are taking what seems to be easy and is actually going to make your life hard down the road.
All right, JB, let's talk about some advice that you can help some folks, some tax tips as we come to the end of the year. Is it too late to make any difference for your tax report, or should you be looking for 2022?
There's an interesting. Well, a lot of us have these nonprofits. So if you have a nonprofit that you support, or you have friends that have a nonprofit, or you own a nonprofit, you need to be going out there talking to everyone you know about the $300 that the IRS is allowing everyone to write off. Like they don't even have to itemize. The majority of Americans do not itemize, and that's where the charity comes in. So now the IRS has made an adjustment for this year to support nonprofits that you can put away. You can give nonprofits $300 even if you don't itemize. So also you can have like $250 worth of items that you're giving away. You can write off even without a receipt. So make sure that you look at what is going on. And then also, like if you find that next year you think it's going to be really hard and you're under 59 and a half, and you're maybe going to need some money out of your retirement account, do not let this year end without getting that money out this year. Because next year, you're going to have to pay that 10% penalty for being under 59 and a half. And I'm not in any way encouraging you to do it, but I'm saying from a tax strategy perspective, don't sleep on that. You got to manage your money right now. You have to see what's ahead. If your money is running out, you want to get access to it now because this year is where the advantage is.
All right. Is there any difference? Are they going to make any changes because of the pandemic as far as the IRS is concerned? Stuff that you can write off?
Oh my goodness. They made that change that you don't have the penalty for the 59 and a half. They have like people out of retirement accounts from work retirement accounts. They can take out like up to $100,000. Like, get the details though, but without penalties. Like they have the required minimum distributions for people 72 and over don't exist for this year. They don't have to take out the required minimum distribution. They can, but you don't have to. You can save a lot of money. Some people every year get mad because they have to take money out of their retirement account because they're above 72. It used to be 70 and a half. So remember, y'all, that new rule is now 72. So yes, they made a lot of changes. That charity one, that's for COVID. These things that I'm talking about, these are COVID, except for the 72. Well, yeah, the 72 with the required minimum distribution not being required, that's because of COVID. So yes, they've made some adjustments. We just have to get in tune with them.
All right, because a lot of times people are doing their taxes. The tax person won't tell you that. You got to ask them. So it's good that people have the knowledge before they sit down with their tax person.
That's right.
Next month. Then we'll start
because next month is too late. That's what so many people only meet with their tax preparer for doing their tax prep. But in AfroEconomics, we analyze our taxes all year long. So I'm still looking at 2019 tax returns, analyzing them to prep for their 2020 returns on what needs to be done differently. The money that we pay in taxes is outrageous. I'm certain some research needs to be done on how much Black people overpay in their taxes. It's crazy, Carl.
Well, let me jump in and ask you this. And having said that, should every one of us who work be incorporated, have a corporation?
Well, you don't get as many individual tax benefits of a corporation as you do with a sole proprietorship. So I think that most people who have a home business or even a business somewhere, or partnership or something, they don't do the Schedule C for their business income and expenses. And then the IRS get all the details though, but for a startup business, you can write off up to 50,000, 50,000 in startup expenses. And then we're saying, well, I don't want to draw attention. What are you talking about? Don't say that ever again. Follow the rules, do it right, and you don't have to worry about drawing attention. Do it right. If you have a business.
So that's for a C corporation, you said?
No, that's for a sole proprietorship when you're doing a Schedule C. It's on your personal tax return. So if a person, that's the way that's when you personally get the most tax benefit. But when you have a corporation, your corporation will pay you a W-2 that goes on your 1040. So there's really no tax benefit for you to have a corporation. The reason I have a corporation is because it's required, because my company is a licensed and regulated entity. It is required. So, but some businesses, it's not required for it to be a separate entity. It could be a sole proprietorship. It can be an individual LLC that really that goes into your tax return as a sole proprietorship. But these are really good questions. That's why every Friday, Carl, I do a free business network discussion. Like on this Friday, I'm doing a free workshop on business intelligence, using information to your business benefit so that we can make wiser decisions based on data in the industry and then based on data for your individual business. But business intelligence is just something that our community is totally missing. Last week, I did it on business tax returns, business tax forms, balance sheets, the financial statements for businesses, the balance sheets, the income statements, cash flow statement, and we just went through those. But it's just the more times we hear this, the more confident we get. And then I pulled up the Schedule C and I really broke it down on what it means. So that's why I have the entrepreneurship membership in AfroEconomics, because at 25 years I've been in business and I never had anybody to kind of mentor me. And I remember this lady, she says, I was wondering if you would be.
Story right there, JB. We got to take a short break. I'll let you talk about the lady. That story about the lady on the other side. Folks, you want to join us? Reach out to us, 800-450-7876, or speak to financial advisor JB Bryan. We'll take your calls after this quick break right here on FM 95.9 and AM 1450 WOL, where information is power.
This report is sponsored by Safeway. Still in very bad shape in the district on DC 295 southbound, where your left lane is blocked due to a collision at East Capitol Street, and we have a parking lot of crawling congestion. All stop, very little go with jams from Eastern Avenue. You definitely want to avoid that if at all possible. We're also experiencing northbound delays on DC 295, more stop than go from the 11th Street Bridge as you're passing Pennsylvania Avenue and approaching East Capitol Street. 395 also still seeing very heavy congestion with residual delays as early incident has cleared, but you'll find it very slow as you're coming from the 14th Street Bridge, more south to go as you're making your way on 395 southbound, passing the Pentagon and passing Glebe Road. Now through December 24th, help provide a holiday meal for a local family in need through Safeway's Holiday Bucks program. Donate today in a variety of ways at the register upon checkout. I'm Taryn Galbraith for News Talk 1450 AM WOL, where information is power.
Y'all can see each other.
Tis the season to buy black. La 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 black. It's not a trend, it's a movement. With the unapologetically black card that rewards for buying black. Earn double points this holiday season with select black-owned brands and earn points for qualified everyday purchases, from groceries to TV and music streaming subscriptions. Redeem points for cash back or donate them to support black charities. Apply now for your One VIP card with no credit check at onevip.com. Subject to terms and conditions. The One VIP Visa Prepaid card is issued by Star Bank and a member FDIC, pursuant to a license from Visa USA Inc.
Is the cost of finishing the basement worth the benefit of some peace and quiet? When questions find you, Merrill Edge Self-Directed Investing can help you find answers.
It's cold outside.
Planning tools and insights to help you get where you want to go, even if it's just downstairs. Merrill, a Bank of America company. Visit merrilledge.com/withinreach to get started today.
Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated, registered broker-dealer, member SIPC. Investment products are not FDIC insured or not bank guaranteed and may lose value.
DC, we are one. Still striving, still standing. The DC Lottery stands with you as we celebrate Radio 1 for 40 years of informing, inspiring, and entertaining the community. We honor this rich legacy with a commemorative 40th anniversary scratcher. Remember, when you play, we all win, as proceeds from DC Lottery games support essential city services. Over $100,000 in cash prizes still remaining, including one $40,000 top prize.
1450 WOL.
And now back to the Carl Nelson Show.
On Washington, D.C.'s 1450.
1450 WOL Radio.
Thanks for rolling with us, folks. Our guest is financial advisor JB Bryan. Get back to JB in a moment. At the top of the hour, we're going to hear from Dr. James Taylor. Dr. Taylor is a black politics expert. We're going to talk politics, of course. We're going to talk about the 2020 elections, the aftermath. Also, we'll talk about Georgia, that election coming up next month, actually, the senatorial election. Talk about black unemployment. And also 5 things we can do next. That's what he wants to share with us as well. So also, we're going to talk about the fight between the progressive and the moderate wing of the Democratic Party. And later this week, you're going to hear from Chairman Fred Hampton and also Public Enemies Professor Griff. They're all going to be here. So if you're in the DMV, keep your radio locked right here on FM 95.9 and AM 1450 WOL. All right, let's go back to financial advisor J.B. Bryan. So, J.B., you're about to tell us a story about a lady.
Well, I was talking about the importance of mentorship. That she was asking me about being her mentor. And I was like, well, that's why I created the entrepreneurship membership of AfroEconomics, because, and instead of the, spending time over lunch and stuff like that, we actually talk about strategy. And that's why I set up the business network, so that we'd have free access to empowerment to network with each other and to actually talk about business stuff. Like we talked about the business structure, this S Corp, the C Corp, the S Corp, the partnerships, the sole proprietorship, just about which one is best. And then the LLCs, so many people have an LLC and they don't know, why they created it. They don't know they're a single person LLC and they don't even know that they could have stayed as a sole proprietorship. But if they're in a business that does have a lot of liability, but at least you need to know why you decided to be an LLC. Like what we're doing, instead of just setting up things, paying fees, having more responsibilities, and then you're just making sure that municipalities are making more money off you. But we need to make sure that is what is best for my business and what is best for the protection of my wealth going forward, and what's going to give me the opportunity to raise more money. So as you mentioned, Carl, the reason to really have a C Corp, is it allows you to allow unlimited numbers of investors to come into your business. Like on the companies that become publicly traded are C Corps, because then they're able to raise money by selling the shares of ownership of their company. So, but we need to, get platforms where we can talk stuff like that without having to worry, about anything. But just be in a comfortable environment that you can be yourself and ask questions. And then most importantly, it lead to something where you have a real entrepreneur that's helping you set up and grow your business. My thing is about us.
Let me jump in and ask you then.
Yes.
What is the, as far as taxes are concerned, what's the best move? People that are now out of work or got laid off or furloughed, and they're looking at January and they figured out, because they're probably written out the rest of the year because, business slows down after Thanksgiving. And they want to start fresh for the new year. Mm-hmm. What advice do you have for them?
They can't wait for the new year for anything. And business does not slow down after Thanksgiving. So we have to get out of that thought process totally. I started creating new programs at the end of the year because a lot of people think like that. So I said, I'm going to give them something to do. So I did a wealth and health network workshop that I started for this month, so that people would improve their consciousness about the connection of your health to your money. And especially as we go into a season where people start making bad choices with their money and with their food. But if you have to take your finances very seriously for 2020. How much money did you make on unemployment? Because unemployment is taxable. So take it seriously. Talk to the state if you don't know. You got to make sure, have you been withholding taxes? If you haven't been withholding taxes, how much income did you make? Did you make enough to even worry about doing a tax return? Why do you have to do a tax return? Why would you not have to? How many dependents do you have? It's time right now to start doing that. I want to empower the entire world to do their own taxes. I feel that we need to have an understanding of the tax code ourselves. If you have a complicated situation like multiple rental properties, or you inherited a lot of money or something, or sold a lot of inherited land, or anything that you think is complicated, I can understand going to a tax preparer. But other than that, you need to be talking to your financial advisor, about did I sell anything that's going to have capital gains? Did I buy, did I withhold enough on my income? Talk to your employer, look at your W-4 forms, make sure it might need to be adjusted because you're not withholding enough. But I would start with getting someone that you trust to look at last year's tax return now, not next week and not in January. You cannot afford to wait one more minute about anything that's important to you in your life. If you need to have a conversation with your kids, do it today. If you need to change your financial habits, do it today. If you need to stop eating bad stuff, stop today. Stop putting anything off. That's what's keeping us, behind. We want to be forward thinking. So we start now. What we do today creates how we live in January. And I see that over and over, especially in business. If you start in the fourth quarter that I don't make enough money in fourth quarter, so I'm going to chill. Well, you're not going to make a lot of money in first quarter either. Because what you do in fourth quarter, your fourth quarter is based on your third quarter and your second, and even 2 years ago. Really, what you're doing today is based on what you did 5 years ago. Because if you had saved a whole lot of money 5 years ago, and while you were working, you would have enough money now. I talked to a truck driver last week, and the brother said, I don't need any money from my 401k. I just want to roll it over with you, JB, because I saved up at least a year's income. He didn't go to college. That takes discipline. That's discipline. It wasn't on the CDL exam. That was discipline. He said, I want to save. And he saved. And he's going to get another job. It ain't going to be hard to get another CDL job, but he has the opportunity to relax for a minute. He said, I'll probably start back work in January, but the only reason he can do that is because, and he was fired. He was fired for, if anybody out there knows about being a truck driver, there's very intricate things that can put you out of work, but it doesn't stop you from getting another position. But we have to believe in ourselves enough to save and be disciplined. Put away at least 20% for yourself.
You mentioned save a couple of times, and people listening to us now. People, I know people who work for years and never save. They just live paycheck to paycheck. They just say there's nothing left.
That's right.
To save. So
that's right.
Is a financial advisor? Where would you tell them to cut? And how much should they save out of their check? What percentage?
No. You got to save at least 20% of what you're making. You're working somewhere for somebody. 20% of that salary should be going into your future because you're not buying any ownership of that. You're not going to ever own the federal government. Like a large percentage of the Black community works for a municipality or the federal government or the state or school system or something like that. You're not going to ever own it. So you need to make sure that you're saving that income. And this is the scariest part. Only a small percentage of people of our community are actually participating enough to get the full match from their employer. So we need to overall, like 20% of everyone that does participate is actually, getting the full match on their retirement accounts. I was looking at this federal, financial survey that was done for 2019, and it was just showing that how retirement savings has been so overfunded, and only half of workers actually save anything for the future. And many people, they just go to work and they go, I can't afford to put any of that away. That means you have too many bills. You have a salary? I can't even imagine having a salary. I've never had a salary. I think like 7 weeks of my life after finishing undergrad, I took a job at a bank for 7 weeks. After that, I went into sales. Since then, and then becoming a stockbroker, I can't imagine. All you have to do is live within that means. That it's amazing to me.
That's a big issue for some of our people living within their means.
That's amazing.
You make 100. JB. Tweeter says, please ask your guest about the IRS sending delinquent taxes to collection agencies.
I don't think they hire. I think they do their collections themselves. She said she got it from a collection agency. You might want to be careful because there are a whole bunch of people spamming as the IRS, but they will actually, they will actually talk to you, call the IRS, talk to them, set up a payment plan and get on board. You do not have to do these expensive legal situations in attempt of trying to get your bill down. It's either going to go down or it's not. So you should just talk to them yourself or get someone. I talk to my members and I call the IRS all the time. And I know it saves them thousands of dollars. The lawyer's not doing anything different than that, but turning your file over to a paralegal and saying, call and see what happens. Call and see what you can do to get it down. Who can get it down better than you? So we just do it, but you have to get the confidence up of facing the challenge. Face the challenge, talk to them, see what type of payment, and they'll tell you, well, this can't be done. Like, I have a project that I'm helping someone with now that she missed almost 10 years of tax returns. So, the only thing that they could say was, all of these have to be done. That's it. And they'll do them for you. But if the IRS does the return for you, they put you at the highest tax bracket possible. So you might not even have a liability, but because you didn't do the return, they will do that to you. So what happens, we just need to get, if we can go into Facebook and learn how to interact on that, I challenge you that you can learn to do your own tax return. And we just have to.
Let me answer this, JB. Real estate still a good buy to get into, because especially with the pandemic, because everything now is colored by what's going on with this pandemic. Would you advise people to refi or buy new real estate?
Residential real estate is a really hard area for us because that's where we put the majority of our money. And historically, it hasn't worked out for us well, because residential real estate does not outperform, like, for example, the stock market over the long term. It hasn't. So when we're putting way too much money, like getting the biggest house that you can get approved for, and then that stops you from being able to start your own business, or it stops you from being able to maximize your work retirement plan so that you can get that match and things like that. That once you overfund something that doesn't perform for you, it slows down your wealth development over your entire lifetime in many situations. We're talking about people in their 80 still with mortgages, growing numbers. So definitely real estate is a area, always will be an area to consider, but you have to be very smart and know that you make your money on the price that you purchase, not on 30 years from now, it'll go up. You got to make sure you don't overpay for the property now. I was reading an article and it was talking about the Obamas purchasing a real estate property, a residential property. And the article said in there, they paid $2 million over the tax assessed value, over the market value. They said they paid $2 million too much. That's not good. We cannot afford to do that. Now, if it's happening to them, imagine what's happening if we're not careful to that regular individual. So we have to be very careful with our real estate purchases.
Let's use that as an example. They overpaid for that, $2 million. Is there a point where if you hold it long enough, you get your money back, or price is declining?
But look at
that's all right there. It's only got to take a short break.
Right.
We're closing on the top of the hour, so some of our stations need to identify themselves down the line. Stations like FM 95.9 and AM 1450, WOL, where information is power.
When the coronavirus struck your community, what if you had no soap, masks, food, medical care? This is the reality for the world's most vulnerable people. But there's hope. Children International is helping provide children and families in poverty with the critical essentials they need to survive. Things like food assistance, hygiene education, medical help, and financial aid. To learn how you can help, go to children.org/help today.
DC, we are one. Still striving, still standing. The DC Lottery stands with you as we celebrate.
How about, Paul? I forgot my eyeglasses and I got to drive home in the dark.
Entertaining the community.
I'm so used to not wearing them anymore because I don't go anywhere. And I'm cool during the day, but this is going to be a challenge getting home.
Support essential city services. Over 100,000.
Saying the right name.
I don't know what kind you have. I mean, you need ones for far away, right?
Yes. You're so nuts.
Yo, I have President Trump for you. He say he's.
What's he asking for? His taxes?
No,
he's going to show his taxes?
Not only that, he say he's fully and willing to cooperate.
Oh, okay. We want to see his taxes.
Stand by.
All right.
This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
WOL, Washington, D.C. W240DJ, Washington. 95.9 WMMJ, HD3, Bethesda. WKYS, HD3, Washington. WPRS, HD3, Waldorf, and worldwide at WOLDCnews.com.
The views and opinions of the following show do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of News Talk 1450 WOL, Radio 1 Incorporated, or their management. Welcome to the Carl Nelson Show on Washington, D.C.'s 1450 WOL Radio and live around the world on WOLDCnews.com.
Thanks for staying with us, folks. Norman Taylor will be speaking with black politics expert Dr. James Taylor from out of the West Coast, University of San Francisco. Let's wrap up with financial advisor J.B. Bryan. So, J.B., the question was about, you said the Obamas spent too much money or they overpaid for some property in the billions. My question was, if in real estate, if you overpay for property, at some point, do you make your money back? At some point, is it appreciating or is it declining?
Well, when you're talking about those type of properties, the market for it is very small. So I would say the bulk of people with the multi-million-dollar properties, especially if they want like a 5-year turnaround that sometimes people do with their, your normal residential, like they lose money because the market, how many people have $10 million, $12 million, $15 million to buy a property in, like, say, DC or Martha's Vineyard, so some of those are like on the market trying to sell for 5-6 years, and then they have to bring them down and bring the prices down, over and over. And, but if the money that you make on any investment is based on the price that you paid to purchase it. So if you paid $2 million too much, that could cut you from, say, a 20% return to a 15% return when you're looking at your return on your investment. So you got to get it down. Like if you were buying some shares of stock, if you can get it, $10 cheaper than one day, and then 10 days later, it's $10 up. You're excited about it. But if you bought it $20 too high in the first place, and then the next week it's only up, and it's down 10, or you're really dramatically still getting hurt. You're hurt even more. So if the real estate market does even poorly, think about it on that side. You already went in at $2 million too much. And then you're going, and then the market goes down, or you get it to a period where high net worth individuals don't want residential real estate or something, the demand for those particular high price homes goes down, or they move. Say you have properties in DC worth $10 million, and all of a sudden everybody wants to work out in the county, or everybody starts working from home. There's no reason, or your market for who's going to buy the house gets smaller and smaller. And that's happening a lot, in your area, in the city, in the urban areas. And you see, because of COVID, they say that there's going to be a movement more to the suburbs. Well, we'll see what happens. But residential real estate is, just not as productive to you as an investor as commercial real estate, multi-unit properties, because you have a lot different sources of income, and it's creating income for you. You can write off the expenses associated. But with residential real estate, that's just a place for you to live. So when you get to those big high prices,
we let you go though. Any tips for folks? Any financial tips you can give us before we let you go?
Well, definitely make sure that you learn to and continue to. I'm working under the assumption that you're already living within your means. Continue to be happy with that. Continue to stay positive that if you're out of work now, that doesn't mean you'll be out of work all the time. And if you start a business today, you're no longer out of work. You're building your business. But just because you lost your job doesn't mean you have to be out of work. And that I wanted to I don't even know how to do what I want to do, but I want to encourage us to feel empowered that the pandemic doesn't have to fall on us. That we can feel like this is something that's happening, but what can I do to turn the situation around for me? And I encourage you to I do workshops all the time. Every Wednesday night, I do financial workshops. On Fridays, I do, workshops for business owners and people that want to start a business. But get yourself into a situation where people really care about you. And whoever it is, get yourself close to a network of people that really care about you and your financial future, care about your unit, your family, and build on that. Take it very seriously. I don't think we take our families and our financial futures seriously enough. We don't need the government as much as we think we do. What we need is a determination to get through this, to grow through it. Not just survive, but to thrive through it. This could be it's part of our story. It's part of our story. Yeah. But it's not the whole book.
So, JB, how can folks reach you?
JB at jbbryan.com, 1-844-522-7926. JBBRYAN. And also at AfroEconomics.com. Google me, baby.
All right. Hey, and happy birthday to your daughter.
Thank you so much.
Good day.
Thank you. You're the best, Carl.
Thanks, JB.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too.
Right, folks, it's JB Bryan of Finance.
That's great. Thank you all so much. Y'all have a nice night.
Good one, JB.
Oh, thank you. Y'all are the best.